It's much easier than you think.
Nice.
Fun process.
Oh, I have to walk over to this side of the room. Look at that beautiful young lady. Ah, I just have to find out more about her. Hi, my name is Sharon. How are you?
I'm good, Sharon. How are you?
I am well. And your name?
Carolina. My name is Carolina.
Carolina. Isn't this place just so fantastic? Oh
Yeah,
my
I love it.
gosh, I just love it here. Love it, love it, love it. So tell me, what do you do?
Um, I use my artistic expression and my love for life to empower others to do the same for themselves.
Mm, that sounds powerful. How are you going to do that?
Well, I use creative expressions in acting performances and learning environments where teens and young adults will be inspired to recognize the value of human interaction and become empowered to use their unique gifts to take action and impact positive change.
I want to learn I want to do that with you. So, what do you think, Tashika and Kalia? These are two students who have gone through their vision.
I'm very interested. I think at the end of any conversation, what matters the most is the interest of getting to know you more.
Absolutely.
Wanting to find out more about you and what you do. And I think the biggest mistake we make is, oh, wow, I gave a fantastic spill, and I defined and I expressed what was needed so that they can know more about what I do now. But what we really want to pull from that conversation is a follow-up. That is what you want to gain. Anybody can mingle in the room, especially if they don't have anybody else to talk to, right? Mm-hmm. And so what you have to always keep in the back of your mind is that exchange. Yes, you explain, but if they don't offer or don't ask to get your information, never undermine the power of saying, do you have a business card? Mm-hmm. Do you have contact information so that I can follow up with you with a thank you, because I was so honored that you even took out the time to speak with me. It doesn't have to be a sales pitch. It could easily be as simple as that, but you always want to, I believe, conclude with a question so that you can have access to a follow-up. Talking there is not going to benefit unless you're just practicing your pitch. If you're just using people to practice your pitch, that's totally fine. But if you truly want a follow-up, make sure you end it with some type of question that would extend an offer for a follow-up. But it is awesome. The reason why I asked is because I would want your information after what both of you said.
Yeah, agreed.
Cool.
Agreed.
Awesome. Any input?
I mean, Tashika just said it so well. And I really love the pitches and the explanation of the value that both of you add, because this is essentially going to be like your mission statement, right? Mm-hmm. For not only how you move, but how you handle business moving forward. The one thing that I would add to what Tashika said is, in addition to not underestimating the power of the follow-up or the ask, is to make sure that whatever limited time that you have access to someone is asking questions about who they are. Because people will easily talk at length about who they are. They'll talk about themselves, they'll talk about their kids, they'll talk about their dogs, their cats, or whatever. But it's those nuggets that you take away from those interpersonal moments that will help to further the follow-up. Mm-hmm. So for example, if you've been able to get your moment where you give your pitch and, I'm going to empower those who can't empower themselves, and I'm going to change the world, and I'm going to breathe life here, and I'm going to breathe life here. And then you follow up with the, do you happen to have any contact information? Or can I follow you on Instagram? What's your Instagram? you can take that follow-up information, and if you decide to DM them or send them an email based on the business card, you can literally say in the email, it was so great to meet you the other day, Wendy, and you talked so much about your cute dog. It's so funny. I have a dog of my own. It would be great. Maybe we can catch up and, meet up at a dog park for coffee or something like that. But make those interpersonal connections, because it's easier to develop a relationship than to say, hey, we met at this networking mixer the other day. You remember you handed me your business card. Well, they may have handed their business card to 30 other people. And so, making those interpersonal connections that will spark connectivity and establish the ground for relationship is very, very powerful. If someone mentions, hey, I have a kid who plays soccer, and you're like, hey, I grew up playing soccer too. I played for such and such team. And then when you email them, say, how's your son playing in soccer? How's his season going? And that person will say, oh, this person was A, listening, B, cares, and this is potentially someone that I really want to do business with. I want to develop a relationship, because listening is intrinsic to relationship building.
And it's whether it's your business or it's an initiative or you are working on campus, Wendy, yes, your professor, your colleagues might know you, but they're going to start to see you in another light, like, oh, she wants to do this. I really want to know more. I had an incident like that in Fort Myers where I went to an event. It was all business women, lots of business women, and everybody was doing the here, and I targeted one person, just one person, and I sat next to her the whole time, and we talked and found out a lot of things. You know how they just start to pour out.
Verbal diarrhea.
So it was a good way for me to, when I followed up with the email, to say, hey, how's your arm doing? I hope you're getting better. I hope physical therapy is working. And, I know you're going to be stronger in the end. I just wanted to say that. And then I just left it at that. And then a few days or a week later, I emailed her again and said, I know that you're getting better. I just wanted to remind you about what it is that I do. I'd love to send a proposal to you. And then she responded and she was like, I'm so sorry it took so long to respond. Yes, I definitely want to be able to do this for my team, right? Yeah. So it's that kind of, it has to be a dialogue.
Yeah, it does.
You have to set it up.
And I would add one more thing that don't underestimate. I know we're living in COVID times now, and touch and all those things are not as acceptable as they were like 5 months ago, but the power of touch in a conversation. So a lot of times when we're in those kind of network environments, they're very stuffy. Everyone feels like they have to do a put on. I am, president, CEO, master of the universe, such and such, that everyone feels that they have to protect their space. Sometimes if the person is receptive, a touch on the arm, right? Or a touch on the shoulder. This is not to violate anybody's personal space, but sometimes the touch disarms people. Mm-hmm. And it brings them to a space of being able to hear you better, because now they're like, she's a human being, right? She's a person. And not only that, that touch is tender and it's signifying care. Mm-hmm. So now I'm like, oh, okay, I'm hearing what you're having to say, right? As opposed to feeling like I'm being sold to. So that's another technique that you can use as well.
That's really nice that you said that, because I am from Brazil.
Hey.
So, touching and everything, like touching and 2 kisses is like the most normal thing. And for me, it was like the opposite, coming to the US and having to learn how to like really respect everybody's personal space.
Yeah.
And just like control me to like, okay, not a touch right now, not a hug, just shake of hands.
Yes, a fold of arm or head nod. But I think that there are times in the conversation where you can see that there's space for a touch. Now, if the person is completely closed off, we can read body language and energy from people.
Yeah.
So it's not hard to tell whether or not this is this is a space where your touch will be rejected or received. And that just, it's continuous practice of that kind of emotional intelligence that we use every day. Tap into that piece. But that works. I'm telling you, it works so well. I've had people who've been irate and I put a slight touch on the arm and it brings them down
Mm.
immediately. And they can hear you. That's the piece. Once you touch them, they can hear you.
Wow.
So Tashika, do you have anything to add to that?
You know,
About
I
how, during this time of COVID, how are you pivoting to still have that art of connection, right? Because we can communicate. It's
Mhm.
different.
Well, you know, for me, I think the genuineness of the conversation makes the connection. If you're not in a place where you can, comfortably, respectfully, touch your arm or a back or shake a hand, we cannot ever underestimate the power of an authentic conversation. When it is authentic, you feel the hug, you feel the love. I was on a conversation. I was a part of a Thinkific women's virtual conference last week, and one of the coaches wanted to have a conversation with me. Well, by the end of the conversation last night, it's all Zoom, no touching, right? The spirit from where she was coming from loved on me, guided me, even though I was not in need of her services. If I was, I would have paid for it last night because of the genuineness of her spirit. And I think we have become salesmen and saleswomen when it comes to our gifting and when it comes to our craft or what it is, our endeavors. And we have to eliminate that pitchy style so that our conversation is as genuine for you or that particular person, if you're going to buy in or not. At the end of the day, we are just sharing our heart, our love for what we do. And if it's something you cannot embrace, fine. If it's something you can embrace, okay. We see the competition. And so we have become so desperate to sell something, to get something from someone else, that we're forgetting to just give of ourselves in an authentic way.
That's so
Authenticity,
true.
yes.
That's so true.
Very,
I
very,
completely
very
agree with
important.
that.
And we've touched on the importance of just being your genuine self, even in the formulating of their vision and their mission statements. It's really, really important for you to come from a place of the core of your being, who you are, and being transparent. That has to come through when you are making your statement of what you do and how you're going to do it. That piece of you needs to come through. And I think that's probably what you heard in what they had to say, because they could easily just have jumped on whatever internet site and grabbed a statement, but it would not have, like you said, Tashika, I would want more. I would want to hear more about how you're doing this. So that authentic piece is very important. What do you think, ladies? Kalina, Wendy?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm just like, yeah, tell me more. Tell me more.
I love it. Yeah.
So we're wrapping up. This is our last session. I'll give you each a couple of minutes to say what you would want to say to encourage these young ladies in their future walk.
I know, I feel like you, Wendy. I'm but a spring chicken.
I am not even in this conversation. You see this?
I was actually gonna private message you and say, "Girl, you looking
Oh yeah,
fabulous." I mean,
awesome.
the sauce
It's
is
awesome.
just dripping from you, right? She is
Glowing.
glowing. I'm like, what's
Not
going
the Black
on?
King too. I
Okay,
like
okay, okay, okay. I was thinking the same exact thing. What is homegirl doing different these days? We need to sidebar that, mother.
Mhm.
But you do. You look radiant.
Thank you.
So,
Well, I'm just so excited that you guys made this move. The first step is just as important as the last step, because the first step is what gets you to the last step. If you never make that first step in investing in yourself, investing in more knowledge, more wisdom, um, in regards to what you need to run, whether it is a business or just to be a better person. If you're not willing to take that first step, if you're not willing to invest, and I mean invest time, invest money, if you're not willing to make those sacrifices, 9 times out of 10, it's all talk. It's all fantasy. It's all something that we have seen other people do, and now we're trying to take on the dreams and the platforms and the influences of others. But the moment you start investing in your education, investing in yourself, and investing in what you believe, I believe that is when it becomes a reality, not just to you, but it becomes a reality to other people. When you say, I took a 5-week course, I sat down with my mentor, or I reach out to my mentor every week. You don't have to take courses every month, but when you say you've at least invested in a course to better you, because you don't know everything. You may be the master of your craft, but you're not the master of what it's going to take to get you to a successful place within your craft. And that's the difference. A lot of people think because I'm good at what I do, I'm great at everything. And that's where I think we have to be more humble, and we have to take that approach to allow other people to teach us. So starting, investing, and now you have to finish, because life happens. Ups and downs take place in all of our lives. There are going to be friends and family and spouses that we mention what we want to do to that did not buy in, will not buy in. So how do you finish without support? How do you finish when life catches you around your ankles and start tripping you up? How do you finish when the finances aren't there? How do you finish when you can't walk into a building and pitch? You find unique ways to do it, because where there is a will, where there is a determination, and where there is a mindset that this is what I'm going to do, it will get done. So many people are afraid because we have now gone virtual, and they're upset with the people who have not opened up their doors because, hey, I got a work to do. I need to teach. I need to do this, and I need to do it inside of a building. Well, now it is time for the creative juices to flow. God gives us that wisdom. He gives us the creativity for what we need, because he knows that when we walk in our true selves, when we walk in our true gifts and talents, it's ultimately going to bring glory to his name. So he will open up that crack. And if you see a crack, all you got to do is keep pulling at that crack, and eventually it will become an open door. So wherever you see the light, follow it. And don't give up. You can finish strong.
Okay, high fives, high fives.
right? That
Well,
was good for me.
Now, as you're recording this, you send this right back to me when I
Exactly. I receive it.
Flip it, Sharon, and say, here, eat your own words.
All right.
Girl, I know the feeling. Oh, wow. I mean, how do you follow up with Tashika? My God.
Not ever.
I'm telling you, Lord Jesus, you're such a powerhouse. My goodness. I really appreciate it, and that spoke to me as well. Goodness, I feel like there's so many things that I could say because going through my entrepreneurship journey, I have learned so much. But one of the biggest takeaways that I've received, I think, is that um, that I have to be reminded to myself that I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, that means that there's already something designed for me, right? And so in that design, part of my journey is a part of that design. And so he had very careful thoughts and plans about me and how I would end up. And so I can't discount that. And, you know, sometimes, not sometimes, all the time in your journey to through entrepreneurship or building whatever it is that you desire to impact the world with, you'll sometimes feel, like Tashika said, you'll feel a sense of disconnection with the work that you're doing. You'll feel a sense of failure. Sometimes you'll feel like you're on top of the world, and then the next day you're up under the jail cell. But constantly reminding yourself that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and that this process was designed for you, and the outcome is going to be good. And it's a promise that God has made that it is good. It is going to be good. And so even the times where I've literally felt like I don't want to do this anymore, this doesn't make any sense, I'm not making any money, this is stressful, you know, people keep saying that they're going to do this, they don't do that, but it really doesn't matter, because as long as you keep producing, God will provide the increase. As long as you keep producing, he will provide the increase. And sometimes the increase may not look like in terms of a green bill. Sometimes it is a strength in you, right? Sometimes it's a skills increase, right? Sometimes it is a networking increase, right? But all of these things have currency, and they all have value, and they're all going to add to the process of you being able to execute the work that you were designed and fearfully created to do. And so my encouragement for you is not to forget where you came from. And you were designed by a very intentional God who has a very intentional purpose for your life. And there's nothing that happens in your life, and my mom says it to me all the time, there's nothing that happens that is by mistake. It is all by design.
Making me cry, stop.
It is all by design. And so, you know, the faults, the failures, the missteps, all of those things are part of his intention for who you are, because he's growing you in a very specific way. And you don't see it until after. It's like whenever you plant a seed, you don't see the fruit of the tree until the seed until it matures to a tree. And sometimes even when it matures to a tree, it takes years for it to bear fruit.
That's true too.
Sometimes once you plant the seed, you'll see that sapling grow and you're like, oh, I'm doing something. But no, that sapling has to become a tree. And that tree then has to bear fruit. I think the apple tree, it takes 8 years for it to bear fruit. So he's doing a continuous work in you. So this is part of the process for you to make money, for you to impact the world, for you to be a change agent, for you to be proud of yourself, for your family to be proud of you, your community to be proud of you. But it's also a chance for God to do some amazing things in your life. So that's all.
Bravo.
I love all of you so much. As both of you are talking, I used to say this to my kids all the time: show up for your life. Just show up. That's like maybe 90%. It's a high percentage of what you have to do. Just show up for your life and do something. Do it. If you do nothing, nothing happens. But if you do something, anything can happen. Right? So I'm not even going to try to belabor it, because you two were like, whoosh, you just pow, slapped.
You could tell she's a dancer.
Yes.
I'm out. Thank you all so much. This is a wrap. I really, really appreciate it. We're building a community here. So I'm glad how I can get the past participants and the present participants together to do something really, really special virtually. So just stay tuned for that.
Fun.
Thank you, Kalia and Tashika, for dropping in.
No
Thank you
problem.
so
Thank you
much.
for having us.
Yes.
Very, very welcome. And I expect to hear from you guys for your last one-on-one next week. Okay?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, ladies. I really appreciate everything you said. It was
It
amazing.
was lovely to meet you guys.
Yeah.